All right, I'll call to order the Morgan Township. Am I up too loud? Oh, the TV's okay. Somebody. All right, is that better? Okay, sorry about that. I'll call to order the Morgan Township Trustee meeting, November 13th, 2024 at 10:12 a.m. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
And
Mr. Huff
Mr. Huff is not in attendance.
He had hip replacement and he is home recuperating.
Yes.
So hi, Daryl, I know you're watching. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Morgan Township Board of Trustee meeting dated October 28, 2024 as written.
Second?
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment listing of 10/28/2024 through 11/13/2024, payment number 040-2024 through 990-2024, and warrant number 12923 and through 12949 for a total of $67,431.61.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right. AC,
Okay,
for the fire and EMS report.
sure. Number one is October 24 responses, 58 responses, which in the 17 years I've been here, I think that's the most we've ever had, 58. That puts us up 62 for the year. We made 4 transports for Ross Township. Riley Township made 1 for us on a motor vehicle accident at the intersection of California and State Route California and Cincinnati Brookville. We had multiple patients and we appreciated their help on that one. We had 7 re-inspections and they're all in various stages of compliance, but every business will be inspected this year by the end of the year, according to Captain Meyer. And our average time out the door was about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so it was a good response time. And really that's it, unless you have questions about that.
Okay.
I need a motion to declare 6 sets of Morning Pride turnout gear that are expiring. We're going to donate them to Richard Hall up at the high school program. They don't need gear in date because they rent gear for that, but the 2 years that the kids are there, they need gear to wear, and theirs is in terrible shape. We had previously sent it to either South America or Africa, but this is much more closer to home, and Butler Tech could definitely use it, and as ours expire, they're going to be the conduit. We're going to keep them supplied. Because we have to replace some gear next year. It's in the budget. We're supposed to put it in the temporary budget, right, Tina?
Yeah.
You have to remember that because I have a senior moment every once in a while. But anyway, I need a motion
Give
just to
them a
declare
line.
that excess and start that process. And every time we have more, I'll come and ask. But I like to give.
Do we get any kind of paperwork on that we donated it?
Well,
Or not?
no, we don't.
Okay.
It's goodwill because I'll give you an example of the goodwill. Myself and Captain Cook are in a EMS and fire education program for 80 hours. Butler Tech is not charging us for that.
Okay,
So,
I just wanted to
yeah.
make sure that we
Yeah.
wouldn't be held
No,
liable if
it's
something
expired.
happened.
No,
All right.
it's expired.
Okay.
And they don't use it in burns. They only use it when the kids go out on they call it internship. They go to fire departments. It's just something for them to wear, and they wear it around during training evolutions, but it's not used for extrication, fire, or anything. It's just their gear to get them used to wearing it, and just something for them to have.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
We had our first CPR class last night, community CPR, which we said we were going to start. We had 12 people come, and I got some feedback by text that night that they enjoyed it, that Captain Jan and Riley Abrams did a great job. And we have another one next week, and we've had so much response for it, we're going to probably not do it quarterly. We're just going to do it every other month. But
Where do you hold that in the?
we had to hold it in here because it was too big, and we used it in 12 gets a little.
That's why the TVs volume was up, right?
We'll blame Captain Jan. Yeah, it probably was. But anyway, they did it in here. They did a really good job. I got some feedback, and we appreciate being able to use this. But, you know, the more we put CPR in the hands of people, the more that they can help us help them. You know, an LZ update, we've used it twice now. We need a little bit of adjusting. I've talked to Mark, who has graciously agreed to help us remedy a couple issues with it. And it's no rush. It's just, it would make it flow a lot smoother. So I met with Mark, and we're gonna work on that. Just, it's not always 90 degrees and dry.
Right.
And it's just, you know, sometimes patients are heavy and things happen. So he's gonna construct a gravel walkway from the trail to the LZ to help roll the cot that way. And if we back it up, we won't be on much grass, because on the one last week, it just sunk. I mean,
So it's the fire department's access to it, not the helicopter access. The helicopter access is fine.
yeah, the
Okay.
landing is fine. It's
Okay.
you gotta get a cot and all the equipment,
Right.
and then you add a patient to it, and then you're trying to push it in wet grass and wet dirt, and it just dug in. So
Okay.
if we can get a little walkway from the edge of it to connect to the trail, and then we back up to the trail, we're not on much that's not some kind of hard packed surface.
What
Other
about-
than that, it's fine. It's just, you know, this is what we do. We tinker with it, but I think that'll really fix it.
What about a snowfall? If you have,
Yeah.
does that limit your access to it?
Yeah.
Is there any way to create a secondary LZ if
We would have to use Morgan. That's our secondary. It's all we have. You know, when it was out here, there wasn't much between it. It's just.
Did you do a secondary where we thought about originally?
Yeah, Morgan is it.
No,
Uh,
by the firehouse.
Now, once that pavilion is there, that's done.
No, the one across the drive.
Oh, that one, we could do that too. We could, if we have to. I'll have to whoever's landing will make the call. That would be preferable, so it's closer, because even in Morgan, there's gonna be a lot of non-hard pack surface. And there's
Yeah.
not a lot of good obviously, that's why we had what we had. So we'll have to deal with it hopefully in.
Is there still enough room to put it down between their excess shed and the new addition? We used to land there on the
Yeah.
blacktop.
No, because the new addition killed it.
Comes out, okay.
That was our backup, so, hopefully, you know, we'll have to look at each time. The issue is, and it was very refreshing, is when I called for air care and, firefighter Owens went to the LZ to give landing information, they said, we don't need it, because we'd done all of our pre-work and it was in their iPad, and they're like, we need nothing. Which is good, because that means they know exactly it's in their system and they know where to land. That's the other issue, becomes unfamiliarity with the landing zone. You can adjust, and sometimes you have to, but we'll work as hard as we can to keep that open if it snows. And, you know, Mark's moving down there to get anyway, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's not much snow. These are just contingencies you have to deal with. And if there's a lot of snow, they may not be able to fly anyway. So it's just, you know, it's a bunch of factors that's on myself or chief or whoever's landing to decide.
How long of a walkway access do you need that you're thinking gravel?
What do we, 30 or 40 feet?
Can we just, when we're doing the concrete, can we just add that to it? I mean, just, we're getting a price on concrete, just add another, that way you don't, gravel's still gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
It's gonna sink, and let's just get a price for it at least, and
Yeah.
just see what it
And if we
is.
put gravel and it turns out, concrete to it, well, it's got a base then. Because we don't know when,
We'll need the gravel either way.
we'll need the gravel
Yeah.
either way, so it's,
Okay,
so that's the way, it's a work in progress. I mean, we worked through it, it didn't impede anything, it just made it, well, it was like walking in molasses, because it was just, but anyway, we'll figure it out. But I just wanna tell you, we are using it, it's been used twice. And we'll keep on. The last thing I have is, I need a motion for a now and then PO from Fund 2281 to Roderick M. Huff, MD, in the amount of $6,000 for medical direction from July 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024.
So moved?
second,
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Brooker?
yes.
Motion approved.
And that's it for the fire and EMS.
You have anything for park?
Yeah, I guess we could. So Mark, myself, and Darren met Monday to talk about gazebos and.
Well, let's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just wanted to, thank Sandy for her help. She has resigned from the park board, and all her hard work and dedication, her and Mike actually stepped down earlier because of his family commitment and his work at his main job. But Sandy's requested to resign, and we accepted her resignation. And but again, I want to thank her. So instead of going looking for new members for the park board to volunteer, we appointed Darren as like the project manager, construction manager, if you will, for any new construction coming up, mainly for the pavilion. AC's always been the liaison. So AC and I were talking the other day, and I said, we got the building department, which is looking at over the construction. We got you're looking over safety. It just makes sense to see if we can get Mark on board because he's the maintenance. Those are the three entities that are going to maintain this park ongoing. So AC reached out to Mark, and Mark said, yeah, that makes sense to him. So they now pick up where you're at. That gives them the...
So we met Monday to just kind of get organized. I guess you call it an organizing meeting. And Darren had some great conversations. Darren has ideas on a gazebo. He has contacted Zeb at Zeb A Company.
Yeah.
At Metro Parks to see what they use for a pavilion. He had some ideas for some benches for the grant that Mr. Cole got. And he had talked to people. He's been talking. He has also contacts at Green Township for an extra. It's actually Tony Upton, who's known there forever, but he's got some contacts in the park there and seeing what they use. And he had some really good ideas and things that Mark could use that are less maintenance and whatever. So anyway, he's got those ideas. He's been out taking pictures of gazebos and sending them to us. He was at Whitewater Park yesterday, I guess, taking pictures. So he's really owned this. And so he's gonna see who Metro Parks uses for their pavilions, and find out who did the one at Governor Bebb. And also, he put out for 3 bids for concrete. So he's working through that too. So, he's taking leadership in it. We're just kind of in his vapor trail and here to help him. And so we met, and then we're gonna meet, and I gave him the amount. He wanted the amount that's in the Hamilton Foundation, so we got that out, and he has those numbers. So he has the total amount of what there is to spend. And he's working through it, so we'll meet again when there's something to meet about, but it's a positive direction because he's really owned it, in my opinion, and I think Mark felt the same way, so.
Might want to try to see if he can reach out to the Angles, and maybe he can develop a working relationship with them and see where they stand.
Okay. I'll text him.
Okay. I know he's working at the city today.
He's at the city today. But that's where he's at. He sent that update to us to present to you. So I think he'll be presenting it when he's here, but when he's working, he sent it for me to put on the record.
Okay.
So at least it's moving. And then he said that whomever builds the pavilion will need to get a zoning permit. So and whomever.
A certificate.
Certificate.
Yeah.
And that process will need to start over, is what he told us, which is fine. That's a zoning thing, and it's not ours, mine. So really, that's the only place it is. And I noticed, well, you can give that, but anyway, that's all I have for the park.
Okay. Any questions? We'll move into Mark with the road department and whatever you got on the park.
First, I received. I have the 2025 retracing estimate from Butler County. We usually divide the township in half, so this will be like this, we call the southern half of the township, which includes Shaneling, South Dwyer, George, Howards Creek, Chapel, Howard Road, and Alert New London. And they come back to the amount of $13,763.64. And we just need a resolution made to the Butler County engineers.
When will they do that, in spring or?
It's usually like middle summer or late
Middle
summer.
summer, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So moved.
Do you want a resolution? Do you want us to read a resolution into this? Did you want to just make a motion and approve, or
I think we
did you
just
want
need to make a
resolution?
motion and give them the resolution number. Yeah,
Very well. Second.
Mr.
If-
Brooker?
yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion approved.
If they need something more official, we can work off of that
Would his
resolution.
be a certified
Yeah.
resolution copy sent to him?
Yeah, okay.
And then today, the volunteers from Butler County Metro Parks and are out working on cleaning the honeysuckle and the ditch line in the park. They're just piling it up and then we'll chip it at a later date. Tomorrow, we have a snow and ice training at Liberty Township put on by the Ohio Department of Transportation. Us three are gonna go to. Then we just finished patching. We've been finishing up mowing roads. We got a couple pavement patches we're gonna do on North Wire next week. Then I have started cleaning up the storage lot back there some to make it look more presentable for the park and the walking trail. And then that's about it. Oh, and I'd seen there's some garbage along the walking trail out there, so I moved the garbage can from front of our office and fastened it down out there just for the time being until we get some garbage cans.
Yeah.
So just to-
That's something you guys are working on, garbage, pet, waste bags. I wanted to say it politically correct. Okay, good.
that's all I got.
All right,
Thank you.
any questions for Mark?
Thanks, Mark.
Dale, you ready, or you want me to go to Tina?
No, I'm,
Okay, all right. Do you need me to switch?
not quite, no.
Okay.
I'll give you the heads up, I think, when we get down somewhere on. Yeah, well, three new certificates, but I just wrote a fourth one. That fourth one was for, an extension of a deck and an A-frame roof over a concrete pad. Okay. Not what that one was, but, you can see your page, and that was down on Pretty Mary. That's the first time I've had something from Pretty Mary on everything else. The zoning commission will be meeting, yeah, I gotta watch my grammar, cause I go in and change dates and don't change grammar. They will be meeting on December the 4th, 2026. Topics for the meeting are to be determined.
2026?
Yeah, I thought 2 years out.
Okay, all right, okay.
2024, excuse me. It's been a week and a half, okay? And also, I'd like to, now you can go switch for me, okay? I just realized where it's at. I should be ready. Oh, it isn't, I can tell you that, because I didn't turn it on, because I didn't speak. You heard that, good. Okay. All right, am I there? Yeah, sounds like it, okay. All right, well, as I told everybody and everything else, this is a good opportunity to even show the township people who are watching on everything else, the results of this little survey we did on Connex boxes as storage units, and everything else. The very first question we asked in this was, does this type of accessory structure fit the rural character of Morgan Township? And you can see very equivocally that it was 70%, actually it was about 71% of, I left my mouse in there, of, yeah, I can do that. All right, 71% basically said no, it didn't, okay? I go down here. You can see that that was 71% to 28%. And what's interesting is that that trend kind of happens together. This was a four-part question, and would this be something that you would consider using personally? We had some definitely woulds, some probably woulds, but then the probably would nots and the definitely would nots, if you add them together, you get the same kind of result you have in the very first question. Which, if you add the 22 and the 46, you're getting around 66% of of it. The second question we ask, if you said you would not, in question 2, would you be okay if your neighbors placed this type of accessory structure on their property? And again, the answer was pretty, when you add the probably would nots and the definitely would nots, you're back to the same result as the top and the rural character of it. In fact, it's around 69%. It's a little less, but it's still over a statistical margin. And the last question, if you said would not in 3, in question 3, would you feel differently if the accessory structure was painted to blend in with its environment, which was one of the considerations that we looked at, that if it were painted as part of the requirement of even getting it, that it would, it's overwhelmingly. Now, there were some comments and stuff like that, but I'm not going to show you because I've still got to process those. Okay, all right, Tom, you can switch it back if
Okay.
you want. Okay. Number 3, I received this morning from Richard Spade an application for an area variance, even though my thing says sometime today. He did walk in this morning just before the meeting and turned in his application and paid his fee. I have set the date for this particular meeting to be December the 12th. He's asking to do a lot split and of his property at 3840 or 3480 Chapel Road. Currently, he has almost 3 acres, 2.9 acres, and he wants to split the lot into 2 lots. He wants to split it into 2 lots of 1.5 acres each, and everything else. There's a lot more involved in this than just him splitting, which at this point I don't want to go into details. If you have any further questions on it, please ask me, and I will be able to do it. I've had no surveyors come in with plots or plats during the month, this past month. However, I have just verbally denied a possible split at 4972 Alert New London. This is a piece of property that is located beside that Wholesale Tire, all right? It is zoned B3, but it is owned by one of the people who live a little further down. I think it's like 4 lots down. It has a 60-foot wide opening, frontage to the road on Alert New London, and runs back some 100 to, I think, feet or so, and then blooms into a full 3 by the time you take in the acreage, 4/10 of an acreage, it blooms into about 3 acres behind it, okay? And this is all behind this little platted area of 65 width homes, lots that were made that were platted in 1957, believe it or not, and everything else. Because the gentleman wanted originally he wanted to buy the strip, okay, from the owner. He and the owner are friends. He wanted to buy the strip. And I initially said, well, you could probably do that with a 7-Eleven, which is just a swap of property lines and everything else, given the back portion of it to him, to the owner, and then he buying the strip. Well, in discussing this with both my zoning department, basically, my zoning commission and everything else, it shows me that no, he's creating a new lot, no matter how he looks at it. Because instead of just the strip and the strip only, he wants to go to a full acre. Well, the strip is only 4/10 of an acre. And then going to the 1 acre, he's creating a new lot. And even if he did, he would still have to, 1, go for a zoning commission change, okay, go for a zoning change because it's B3. And you'd have to bring it down to R2 to build on it because there's no residence in B3. Second, he doesn't meet the requirements of 3 acres and 200 feet of road frontage. he would have to go before the BZA to even get the split. So I basically have told him this, and everything else, and I kind of leave it at that there would be nothing. I know there are other interests in the property, and I will leave it at that. Any questions on that? It's right down there by Wholesale Tire, okay? Howard's Creek Estate developers, as I stated, have finally, they put the final plat approval to the Butler County Commission, and it was to go this past Tuesday or yesterday before it. But the initial submission of this final plat is still in the sub-review committee. The engineering department asked for more time to review the drawings, and therefore it was tabled to go before the Butler County Planning Commission on Tuesday. And I'll let everyone know when it appears back on the BCPC agenda. Or at least Jeff will let me know. Actually, Greg's been very good about doing that. Now, I took the time to look through the issue that we had in regards to contractors being allowed bids in the contract and the controversy that happened around that. I have a timeline. I don't know whether you want to listen to all of this, but basically what it boiled down to is this. In May of 2017, Rob said he was going to acquire quotes for tree service for Scipio Cemetery. He went on vacation for the following trustee meeting on June 13th of 2017, but the following trustee meeting, and this was you, Tom, Brett, and Daryl as trustees at this time. There was a resolution made, 69-2017, that approved a PO to Schulte Farm, Tree and Farm, Lawn Company, on everything else, on that particular one. Well, on July the 6th, Ed Teets sent an email to you guys concerned about the business being illegal. And why then were you giving him a contract? Because you'd already signed the resolution, or you had made the resolution. And he sent a second email with even more concerns. There was no discussion on it at the July 25th meeting that I can find. And then on the August the 8th, Ed was granted permission to send letters to 3 illegal businesses and to start court proceedings against Ben Schulte. It's after that that I have problems finding the issues that went on. However, on the August 29th, 2017 trustee meeting, the zoning admin stated he hadn't received a response from Mr. Schulte. The September meeting was kind of confused. I didn't see anything in it. The second September, the meeting, Ed had no report, and there was no mention of trees being cut in any of these past things. I don't even know if the trees got cut from any of the statements. After the September the 26th, there was a letter to Kevin Branditz as an illegal business, and then executive session discussed legal matters. I don't know what it discussed because it was that. On October the 10th, resolution to put a letter to 3 businesses was put on hold. And at that time, I can't find anything else. I asked Tina to look for warrants to see if the actual resolution was made into a PO, and everything else, it was not. So I leave it to the fact that whatever was discussed outside of trustees' meetings, there is no record. Okay.
Do you know what the nature of the Schulte's violation was?
Yes, and it's very interesting. He would bring his trucks. He had big trucks for his tree service, right? And he would bring his trucks back to his lot and park them for the evening and then take them out the next morning. And at that time, to Ed, and then the way the things were, he was right, it was an illegal business. But about 6 months later, okay, and this is something I found out after I took the position, Stark County Appellate Court, okay, ruled against a zoning department and a township on the very issue that Ed was trying to push as an illegal business.
Right.
And everything else. They stated in their record that this man would drive his trucks he ran his business from his property and bring them back in the evening and take them out in the morning, and that it was very allowable for him because he was doing the business off-site.
Right.
And that is now the way it is,
Right.
law.
And I think that was I got that good of a memory, but I think that was the executive session topic, and that's why we dropped it, because they're not conducting business on their property.
Right.
They are staging their equipment. And so therefore, then we went through the process. We were going to give small business or business owners
Right.
The chance to register with the zoning department, and
Just like
it dropped from there.
Right, and we rewrote it, put in a business enterprise section in number 7, so that they are allowed, but there's 2 classes.
Right.
And the
But-
one class is you can do it because you're doing it in your home, there's not much effort. And the second class requires a BZA approval.
Right.
Okay.
But there was actually no formal violation posed against any small business. It was just a letter saying that they were in violation,
Yeah,
but that was,
right, and then you held up sending any more.
right, yep.
All right.
Okay.
And everything else. The last thing, the zoning enforcement report. Darren's been very busy and everything else. I want you to look at the last, on his report, the 7600 Cincinnati Brookville Road. It's a very interesting situation. And everything else. We've done research on the back part of it. There was a garage or barn, put it on the property in 2014, I believe. I'd have to look at the certificate. And it was given a certificate and built. But since then, there has been 2 additions made to this barn that did not have certificates. We just now found this out through a complaint from the neighbor who lives on Hamilton Scipio, but his property runs all the way to Cincinnati Brookville. In addition to that, the gentleman has been redirecting his driveway onto the neighbor's property, apparently. Now, that's a thing we cannot work with, and I'm going to tell Darren that. There's nothing that we can do for the gentleman. That's between neighbors, okay, in that respect. He's encroached upon their property. Now, we can inform the gentleman of that, but that's about all we can do for that. But we are looking into why the additions to the barns were not given certificates or got certificates. Because the one that we saw first, it looks like it does not now meet setbacks. Okay, and that's the big reason why we're on it. As he says there, he's heard back from Butler County prosecutors. I don't know the total of that because we haven't really discussed that, but he is very, very close to 2787 Bell Road, which is the major kind of junkyard that's down at the bottom near Millville, Shandon.
Is that the house that burnt?
Yes,
Okay.
the house that burnt, and everything else, trying to do that. And then you can go on from there to see where he is with various other things. And then, of course, he is now taken over and working with Jeff and Mark on on the park. Okay? And that's all I have, I believe, at this time. Any questions or anything for me?
I got two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, we filled out that zoning certificate for that pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the right zoning certificate?
No, it was not. Darren is
Okay,
going to
yeah,
be filling out the
he had
correct
mentioned,
one.
and he said you guys are redoing that.
Right, yeah.
And then the other thing is on the list of zoning, go ahead and take my name off. I'm not the builder, so if you want to put Morgan Township on there or Park Committee or whatever you want to do, just for clarity's sake.
Well, I
Just
think
go-
what they were saying is whoever builds it, so if we, yep, they'll pull the permit.
That's what Darren said, whoever builds it will have to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way he's going to do it, okay? So I will get anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3, maybe depending on what else they need, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
That's it for me.
all right.
Thank you.
Tina,
Okay. I need a motion to approve a PO to LCNB National Bank for the fire station improvement bond installment payment due December 1st, 2024, in the amount of $35,182.88 from Fund 2111, which $20,300 is in principal and $14,882.88 is interest.
so moved.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion approved. Also a motion to approve a PO to Alpha Construction for the final balance due on the Morgan Township Community Park walking trail and parking lot in the amount of $23,760.86.
So moved, but this is the retainage.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the final amount.
Final it,
due.
yep.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
You got a motion?
I so
Se-
moved, it. Okay.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion approved. And before I ask for this PO, did you decide on the Highland Insurance, if you're gonna pay the extra additional premium of $356 to make the cyber insurance come down to $10,000 per occurrence, or are you leaving it at the $25,000? You know what she was talking about?
Right.
Because each one is separate.
I'm
So-
good with it. We really didn't discuss it, but I think, for $360 or whatever it is,
$356.
$356
Yeah.
to
I
drop
know-
it $15,000 is,
I know when she was here, we had a discussion that
Because
the
each
risk
thing that would
was,
happen out of 5 different things, if all 5 things happened at one time, it's each gonna be either 25,000 or 10,000.
right?
yeah, the risk exists.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So I don't see reason not to protect the township in that
Okay.
case.
Okay, well, let me ask for my PO, and we'll
Okay.
go for the
right.
higher price. Okay. Motion to approve a PO to Highland Insurance for the Morgan Township 2024-2025 liability insurance renewal due November 29th, 2024, in the amount of $36,496.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Motion approved. That's all I have.
Okay.
Nothing for me, Tom.
I really don't have anything either. Anybody from the audience have anything? All right. I have a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion approved. What
We
time we got?
are adjourned at 10:51.